Okay, so this is the patch I haven't made a video about or whatever, so this is the patch I kind of want to talk a little bit more about. So she's a support champion having 2200 HP. I guess that's fine. I mean, most support champions have around 2200 HP, I guess, as far as I know. So I think nothing too special for support. Okay, so her left click, or her normal weapon, so to say, unleash magical energy from your hands, dealing 450 damage every 0.7 seconds. This is actually a lot of damage, I feel like. So she's probably a damage support, off support. But let's see what else she has in her kit, so to say. Then her All Fire Manifest, Arcane Forces extended forth, bouncing between allies and healing them. Spirit linked allies are healed for 30% more. So I guess Spirit Link is just an ability, right? And okay, I can't see any numbers of heals. Let me just see if there's something in the Paladins wiki, because I just want to see the numbers, how much she heals. 520 per bounce. Okay. I don't know how many bounces she has. 4 additional allies. Okay, so probably 4 bounces or something like that. That's not that much healing, is it? I mean, this is kind of a burst heal, like dealing 520, because it's not over time, so it just, here you have 520 heals. Her damage is very low, Dama deals 400 every 0.45 seconds. Oh really? This is actually, okay, I thought she would deal more damage, but it still sounds a lot like 450. I feel like every support dealing a pure damage number at once, like high damage number, is kind of good, because you can play really aggressive, like shoot once, get out a lot of damage. Like 450 is kind of a lot of damage for me. I think it's nice to have a support who deals a lot of damage at once, because most supports have like weapons where each bullet doesn't deal that much damage, like Corvus, Genos, Fury. I mean, Fury is different. She deals a lot of damage, but it is because of her passive and she can attack really fast. But as you can see, like it's kind of close to Io, Maldamba, because they also deal a lot of damage at once. This is what I like. Okay, so her first ability, envelop yourself with arcane energy, reducing the maximum amount of damage you can take to 700 to 275 per instance of damage, and increasing your movement speed by 40% for 3 seconds. Spirit linked allies are also enveloped. I guess this is something like damage reduction, right? Her damage is still really good and her shots are really consistent. Yeah, this is what I like. Like, it's same to Maldamba or Io, because I also like for Maldamba that you can get out a lot of damage. I guess, like, I mean, it is kind of damage reduction, but only when you get to this damage number. Like, you would get damage reduction against Cassie, right? But not against probably Victor. It prevents herself and her linked targets from taking above 275 health. I mean, it is really good that she also saves her allies. I like this one, that she doesn't really has an ability which only provides damage reduction to her, because she also can play around with a flank probably. So I think she's kind of like an off support, pocketing a flank or aggressive damage. Yeah, you get the R against Cassie and snipers, blasters, yeah. But not against Nand or Talis, Tara, etc. I don't know how to feel about this one. I mean, it probably would be too strong if you consistently would get the R, no matter how much damage they deal. But I can imagine this should something like be like a counter to strong ultimates, like Lian ultimate. I mean, Sky ultimate is not strong, but it deals a lot of damage. So you also could save them against ultimates. It does give 100% jump height and speed to your allies as well. That's what I use it for. This is also pretty good, that your allies also get like the increased movement speed and jump height. I like this one really much. This is pretty good in my opinion. Okay, then Spirit Link. This is her ability to tether your spirit to an ally or enemy player. While linked to an ally, you heal them for 200 and grant them 1% ultimate charge every 1 second. While linked to an enemy, reduce their movement speed by 10% and deal 50 damage every 0.75 seconds. This is also really good. You give them free ultimate charge. Okay, they change it to 1% every 2 seconds, but still, I feel like this is pretty good. Is there a cooldown or something like that, or could you just link to an ally forever or to an enemy forever? There's no cooldown, it's forever. Really? This is pretty strong. I mean, how much more ultimate charge rate is this? It's not even half of the usual ultimate charge rate, probably. I guess she's really something like a pocket healer when you have to stay close, but you can kind of link to them. I feel like this is something like a better version of IO, because for IO you needed to actually heal to give them DR, and your heal isn't endless. So you have your resource on IO, but if your resource is empty, then the DR is empty, so to say. But here you can just link to them forever, give them ultimate charge rate, heal them passively. I feel like you don't play that much around your heal. You play more around enabling your teammates and also getting out damage. And this one is also nice. While linked to an enemy, reduce the movement speed by 10% and deal 50 damage every 0.75 seconds. I don't know how much damage this actually is. It's probably kind of similar to the heal. Like, it's some damage, or Nessa Mines, it's some damage, but not that strong. I really like that you can reduce the movement speed. It's something like CC, but not really CC. It's utility you kind of bring to your team, but only against a certain enemy. So I can imagine you focus on one enemy and slow them down. Your team can finish up the kills, and you also could like link to your flank and enable your flank to heal them, give them ultimate charge rate, maybe give them damage reduction or movement speed if needed, and kind of go from enemy to kill them. She's super inconsistent. Her targeting is scuffed. Her heal chain just goes to random people and you miss out on clutch heals. Yeah, I haven't really seen her heals, so I don't really know how it works. I also downloaded the videos where they presented her kit. So I'd like to watch this to know how it looks or how it feels. But I kind of feel like the healing sounds really weird. Like, it's not that much healing because it's only 520 for each bounce. I don't know. Do you need to aim like Dumba, or is it more like Ceres or Io or something like that it's auto heal or auto aim? Auto heal. Okay. I really hope that they would add another healer with actual heal, where you have to aim, so to say. I guess that's it. You just have to take this one. Okay, her ultimate Vivify. Target an ally and infuse them with life, granting damage immunity for 2 seconds and healing them to full after a brief delay. A spirit linked to the targeted player, Ray, will also be healed to full. This is kind of broken, isn't it? Is this one affected by Cauterize? Or does it work in Dead Zone as well? Because this one sounds really strong to me. Imagine all the enemy team has like Cauterize 3. You're affected with what is called now 80% caught, I think. And then you just press E or whatever your ultimate keybind is. Heal your ally to full HP, like your tank being 1 HP. Just imagine your tank being 1 HP, pressing E, he's full HP again. And if you're linked, so using your, I don't know, it's your Q probably. If you use your Q to your ally or on your ally, you're also being healed to full HP. This is really broken in my opinion. Oh, it is working in that zone. Yeah, this is kind of broken. To be honest, this sounds so strong. I saw that they kind of changed this one, that you don't have to be linked to be healed, right? So you can just press E for yourself and also heal yourself without focusing or targeting an ally. So you easily could just go in on yourself, kind of messing up, being overextended, pressing E and having another life, so to say. Kind of similar to Sacrifice IO. I feel like this one is similar to IO. There are a lot of things which seem a little bit better than they were on IO, even though IO was kind of broken. Well, I don't know. IO, you can consistently give IO's allies movement speed when healing them. This one is only limited to another ability. And you also can heal them, or your flank. Imagine your Androxus being low, pressing E, healing them. Sounds kind of strong. Her talents. Increase the range at which chain heal bounces by 40%. Is the range that bad that you need to increase it? Well, I really feel like they kind of try to get out way. I mean, her kit sounds really good, sounds really fun, but from what you're saying, it sounds like she's really rushed. So linking to an enemy with Spirit Link progressively slows the player over 3 seconds. After 3 seconds, the enemy is rooted for 1 second. This one sounds kind of good though. Oh, this one changed completely. Okay, then we probably have to scroll down to the end. I guess there are some PDS changes. Because this one sounds really good in my opinion. That you can slow them and root them. This is even more utility you already had with your, what is it called? Like the Spirit Link and then the other one, like where you slow them down. Yeah, this one, Spirit Link, where you slow them down. So while Envelope is active and you're linked to an enemy, prevent them from healing. Envelope is your other ability, right? I don't know. I feel like the other one, like which is in the patch notes, is better than this one. But you can prevent them from healing. How long does the ability last? 3 seconds, probably. I don't know. I feel like this the one in the patch notes seemed a little bit better because you could root them. It just was a little bit more of utility than preventing them from healing. But preventing them from healing is also good in some situations. If you just look at Dead Zone provides more utility for the whole team because it's bigger AoE. This one is also good in a 1v1, I feel like. So if you want to play her as an off support and just go on your own and do whatever you want, then this one is probably like the no heal when you use your ability is probably really good for off supporting and kinda, I don't know, like preventing them from heal, things like that. Okay, focus. Spirit Link's cooldown is increased to 6 seconds and it only lasts for 2 seconds, but the effects are tripled. Okay, okay, I agree. This one sounds really bad. This one sounds awful. Okay, then they changed this one as well. Spirit Link's cooldown is increased to 7 seconds and it now only lasts 4 seconds, but its effects are tripled. It doesn't get better, in my opinion. It's still kind of bad. I don't know why you would limit your ability. It sounds so strong that you could just link to them forever. I don't know why you would limit this for only lasting 4 seconds. Even if the effects are tripled. I feel like this one would be 150 heals per second, right? I don't know. I still think this wouldn't be worth it to run. Like as you said, it's probably really bad. So I understand why most people are using this one. Weapon armor, magic in the blood. I don't know. Should I go through the cards? Do you think it's interesting? I'd probably just skip this one. I don't know. Refreshing break. Grant 0.4 to 2% ultimate charge to each player to which chain he wants. Okay, yeah, this one sounds strong. Like the cooldown of your heal was something like 3 seconds, so it's similar to Dumba. It doesn't sound that bad, to be honest. Sounds pretty good. So every 3 seconds you could just give them ultimate charge rate. Sounds pretty good, in my opinion. Because you also probably could stack up with the ability here. This one, Spirit Link. It's per bounce and you have 4 bounces or something like that, right? So this one sounds really strong in this card if you have it on level 5. And the other one was Midnight Stroll. Reduce the damage done by any enemy you're linked to with Spirit Link by 5 to 25%. Wow, this sounds also pretty strong. Reduce the damage done by an enemy you're linked to. So this one doesn't... I mean, you could just use this one anytime when not playing the last legendary, right? So you have consistently 25% damage reduction when being linked to an enemy. This is really strong. This is nuts. That one makes champs like Maeve deal 600 damage instead of 800 total. Kinda nuts. Yeah, this one's really strong. It's like 25% consistent damage reduction. And I remember that I kinda nerfed it on other champs where you could have so much damage reduction at once. Imagine bug when they nerfed his bounce house or his the other one, the heal one, that he had like 30%. I think it was 30% damage reduction, but they still nerfed it because it was really strong, and it was because of his resets. And if you have just consistent damage reduction, sounds really insane. I guess they have to fix the targeting, and then it's really broken. So a primary fire. Okay, right, it feels slower than Dama, you're right. A heal. Oh, I don't know. I want to see this one again. Okay, so you just have to hit like this Khan and then you automatically heal the other persons around, or how does it work? Is it limited to 2 people, or could you just have 5 people on the point, heal 1, and then 4 of them get healed, so to say? To whoever, okay. Okay, so this is her link, right? Grog pulls, but on allies. Yeah, I always wish that they would change Grog to make his damage legendary playable for healing. So I guess this is kind of a fair trade, so to say. Oh, best part, it can heal yourself multiple times. So you bounce to yourself. I just want to watch it again. Bounce to yourself. And you also get, like, the actual bounce you see is also heal for yourself, right? Then this one sounds really broken. It's really self-sustaining, this support. Better than Pip or any other damage support. Better than binary star generals. I mean, this one probably also gets affected by cauterize, but still. Okay, and this one is like the link to the enemies. I mean, the damage numbers popping up, like, I don't know, this doesn't feel strong. Like, they could just, I don't know, could add more damage, or they could just leave it out of her kit, because I feel like it feels kind of useless. Yeah, I probably play her next stream then, so plan for today was to go through the patch notes, and then I have to see when I have time again. As I said, I kind of want to stream more than making YouTube videos because it's less time consuming. I could just start streaming and play whenever I want. Oh, this one was the damage reduction, right? I didn't really look. Okay. Kind of want to see how it feels with the damage of the rockets. How much damage reduction was it? Because this seems really strong. I mean, it obviously worked because it was Drogoz dealing probably 900 damage usually. But still, or 850, I think his rockets deal 850. But still, this looked like 200 damage. So, I don't know. So, this looks really strong, but she has a long cooldown. I think it was 14 seconds, so that's fair enough to have a strong or really strong ability and then have it being really impactful, so to say. And this is her ult, right? Wow, okay. This looks really broken. I mean, because of the delay you have in it. Because she activates it, and then you have a lot of delay. Like, now he usually would have died, and she needs like 3 seconds to heal him, and he's damage immune for 3 seconds or something like that. So I guess that's it, right? There was a her talents, yeah. I guess that's kind of boring to see. Yeah, Twitch drops. I don't know if it's working, but I guess you should get Twitch drops, the coins or whatever, how they call it now, when watching my stream. I don't know if I actually was able to activate it, but it should be activated. If you care about bounty store, coins or whatever. General updates. Bots will no longer purchase items for disconnected players. Thank you, this one is so good. Outside of training matches, bots will no longer purchase items. No more coming back to the game and having 2 ranks in an item you never would have bought. This is actually pretty good. I really like this one because we all knew not really leaving, but we kind of got kicked out of the match, so to say, because our internet just disconnected or whatever, and the bot bought veteran, like old veteran, and I don't know, bought bulldozer when not playing against any champion with deployables. So this one is really good, and you also could save up the bot saves up your credit, so to say, so really could decide what items to buy. I really like this change. Scoreboard disconnected indicator. Allies will now see the disconnected status for their teammates on the scoreboards while they are away. I also like this one. Without wanting to sound mean, but sometimes you feel like someone is a bot or something like that, or disconnected, but you weren't sure. So it's pretty good to see if someone is actually disconnected. Talent reworks. So they changed multiple talents. Kinda interested. Generals. Luminary. Okay, without reading, I'm kinda glad that they changed Luminary, because Luminary was really bad. At least in to the time when I left, it was really bad. Old allies affected by your astral mark deal 10% increased weapon damage. As I said, this one was pretty bad. And new, all allies already affected by astral mark are healed for an additional 250 when you use astral mark. Well, I mean, it's not bad, but it's not good either, I guess. I mean, it's how many astral marks could you get out at a time? 3, 2 to 3 probably. So it's just a little bit more here. It's kind of similar to Maldamba when playing Mending Spirits to have 250. But the disadvantage is, well, I mean, you already have like 300 heal up front. So it's just randomly another 250. I don't know. Sounds kind of weird. I mean, it's probably better than the old one, but it's still not good in my opinion. Solar Blessing. Old, when Pyre Strike comes in contact with an ally, it will stop and heal anyone in its beam for 150 every 0.05 seconds. Also reduces the speed of Pyre Strike by 30%. And now refiring Pyre Strike stops it in place. Any ally in its beam is healed for 100 every 0.05 seconds. So they reduced the heal slightly and they kind of changed the mechanic. Does it feel good? Like that you actually have to refire your beam to stop? I mean, it's probably nice for the point tank, so they don't have to pay attention to the beam or to try to catch the beam, because you could just stop the beam behind them and they could just walk backwards and then catch the beam. So I guess therefore it's kind of nice to have. But I feel like it's more, I don't know, it's more annoying for Furia herself probably, because she has to defend herself without using her beam when playing Solar Blessing. This is because, this is one thing I don't like Solar Blessing, because you can't use your beam to defend yourself. And then you also have to think about where to throw out your beam, and also have to refire it to stop it, because you want to try to hit allies with it, but it doesn't stop, it won't stop anymore when hitting an ally. So I guess it's a nice change to make it easier to catch it, but it's harder for Furia now to hit the beams, because she actively has to do something. But I guess it's still a nice change. And you also could use it for damage. Kinesa Eagle Eye, ult increased the damage done by headshots by an additional 25% of base for a total of 175% damage. And now Sniper Rifle gains increased fire and charge rate at the cost of reduced damage per shot, and Y-Scoped gains increased maneuverability. What a word, I can't talk. I don't know. I think the old one was better. Sounds kinda weird. It gains increased fire and charge rate, but you deal less damage. 550. And how quickly can you charge it? Is it similar to... But it shoots about twice as fast. So in total it's a DPS. Yeah, I just wanted to say, like, if you take the numbers and put it together, it's 1100. And that means it's less damage than she used to deal, so to say. Or she usually would deal. Because body shot is 1200. But I still think that the old one was better if you actually play Nessa, so to say. But the old one probably was kind of broken. Because 175% damage increase on headshots is insanely strong. Atlas. Unstable fissure old. Activating second chance leaves behind an unstable fissure that explodes after 3 seconds, dealing 1000 damage. Yeah, the old one was pretty bad, not gonna lie. New. Activating second chance also rewinds enemies within 40 units. Okay, I don't know how much 40 units is, but it does sound better than the old one. So that enemies being around you also get rewound sounds pretty good. I mean, I still wouldn't pick it, but it's definitely better than the old version of it. Nano. Formidable old. Heal for 55% of your maximum HP over 3 seconds when you fall to or below 40% of your maximum HP. This can occur once every 45 seconds. I really like this one. The disadvantage or the problem you had with the legendary was that it didn't work. Like, I don't know if they fixed it now, but I know that they haven't fixed the initial cooldown bug. So every time you would get out of spawn, you would your initial cooldown would activate, and this would also happen with your formidable cooldown, which was pretty bad because then you had to wait another 45 seconds until you could activate the legendary. So it was kind of unplayable due to the reason that the legendary randomly activated when you went out of spawn, so to say. New unstable fissure, it's pretty useless outside of getting rid of healing. You use your escape to rewind enemies and you're not even able to charge up a shot while they are getting rewound. Yeah, I guess this is also why I hated the old version, because you kind of had to sacrifice your movement ability or your escape ability, or this one of the strongest abilities, so to say, to get any value out of the legendary. So I guess this is why I still wouldn't play it, but it sounds better for me on paper than the old one, but it's still a terrible legendary probably. Yeah, new formidable. You now have 2 charges of charge. Each charge deals an additional 100 damage and you are CC immune while charging, but the cooldown of charge is increased to 13 seconds. This sounds really strong. I mean, cooldown is long, things like that, and I don't really care about the extra damage, but the CC immunity sounds really strong. Pretty good on off tank and on point tank, I guess, but you probably still would play it as an point tank, I guess, because Nano as an off tank is kind of rough, and I guess Scorch is the only viable off tank legendary for Nano, so you still would play it as point tank, I guess. Because as point tank you don't want to be CC'd. Just look at Nara. Nara is pretty strong because of her CC immunity, so I guess this is kind of similar. Yeah, I guess I just read it. Like the old one, your shield has an infinite duration and its cooldown is reduced by 4 seconds. In the new version, your shield now uses a resource that regenerates over time instead of using a CD. So it is kind of similar to Khan's shield, I guess. So you could toggle it in like on and off, which is kind of good, and that it is resource based and not cooldown based makes him really strong, because usually I hated playing Nano because whenever you use your shield and dropped it, you had to wait a long time to have another shield up when not playing Aegis. But then when they changed it the first time, so to say, it already was pretty strong, but now it does sound even stronger than before, in my opinion. Barrack. Oh, they also changed Barrack, okay. Old one increased the damage of your turrets by 20% and reduced their cooldown by 2 seconds. And new Dome Shield now costs 35% ultimate charge, so you get out 2 ults at a time, so to say. And places a flamethrower turret with modified values and no shield. Can have 2 active at once. I guess this one is worse than the old one. I don't know. Because the strong one, or the strong thing about his ult was the shield. Because everyone could hide under the shield and no one would want to go into the shield from the enemy team, so to say, because your ultimate turret deals so much damage. But this one sounds kinda bad to me. I mean, modified values and no shield. Modified values, that means more damage or what? And deal crazy amount of damage. The turrets also proc certain cards. Oh, okay. So I guess it's not that bad as I thought it would be. I mean, it sounds interesting, but I don't know if it's really worth it to play or really good to play, so to say. But I still think that you wouldn't want to sacrifice your shield, because your shield was really strong. But we will see. Cauterize. Current, your weapon shots reduce the effect of healing on your target by 25. Okay, yeah, I already read this one for the item store guide. So I guess this one is fine, because Cord felt kinda weak, or not strong enough, so to say. So I like that they change it. I don't know how strong it feels now, but I hope it does feel better. Yeah, I also saw this one. I also like that they buffed Wrecker, because Wrecker went from being insanely strong to being unplayable or not worth it to pick, so to say. Then they buffed it to 25, 50, 75, but it still felt like not being enough, so I like that they buffed it to 30, 60, 90. Card change is nice. Okay, this is great to hear, because I really was annoyed of double support meta, things like that, and you couldn't kill anything or sustain meta, so I hope it does feel better for me as well when playing again, because I know this was a point which really annoyed me. Bulldozer, increase scaling, okay, 20, 40, 60, I also read this one. I think this is fine, especially because we have a lot of deployables. Resin buffs are great too. Yeah, true. We really needed that buff, because Resil didn't feel strong enough, especially because of that much CC in the game. Like looking at Deeproot's Grover. So I saw, or like the patch before with Vatu, that they nerfed Deeproots already, like the bounces from 5 to 3, but it's still good that they buffed resilience, because there is a lot of other CC as well, not only Deeproot's Grover. And Rejuvenate, also buffed. I really like this one. As you know, Rejuvenate is one of my favorite items, because I feel like it's really strong for you as a tank or also as support. It's just really satisfying to heal more at once, so to say. Haven, reduce the damage you take from direct attacks. And when 2, reduce the damage you take from direct and area effect attacks. I really like this one. I mean, it's also kind of boring, because now you don't have to think about direct damage or area damage, especially when drafting and ranked. But I think it's nice to only have one item which gives you a damage reduction. It's also easier for new players to get into the game, because they don't have to think about direct and area damage, and sometimes it's really rough to tell which is direct and which is area damage. So I like the change. And Guardian, to be honest, when I did the item store guide, I didn't know what to think about it, because I wasn't sure if it's really good or not. I guess it's okay. I mean, it only affects shield tanks. This is one reason why I think it's not that good, because it only affects one specific class and not even the whole class, because I mean, you also have off tanks like Ashe or Khan with a shield, but I guess mainly it's for point tanks. And Veteran, I like the change, but I think it's not worth it, because Haven is just better. Hitless Temporal Divide. Current greatly increased the size of status field, but its cooldown is increased by 50%, and now status field cooldown from 50 to 65. Okay. I don't know about this one. I mean, Temporal Divide was strong, or is a strong legendary, but only in certain situations. I feel like it's only strong in coordinated play, so to say. Because most players don't even know how to play Atlas, or most teams don't know how to play with Atlas. So I guess Temporal Divide is only strong when you have a whole team, when you have your whole team playing around it, but most teams won't play around each other. So it's only good for really good coordinated team plays. Tinkerine, current, modify your blunderbuss to fire a single slug that deals 510 damage and increase the damage from 510 to 535. So I really like the change because I feel like Tinkerine wasn't even playable because you would just deal more damage. Not anymore. Until they buffed it to 510, it wasn't more damage with your normal weapon, but it's still not really satisfying enough to pick it, so I hope it feels better. I'm kinda curious to know if this feels better. I think the old one was, like the really old one was 560 or something, so 535 is kinda close to it. I felt like barrack changes were okay, understandable because they changed his ult, so to say, or with one legendary, but all in all it's okay. So Nara, Caretaker, current, heal for 20 every 1 second while standing in water's field and then increase scaling. I guess this card is still not really worth it to pick, but it's okay. Stone Bulwark, current, heal for 25 every 1 second while Earthen Guard is active, and they buffed it. I guess this is better than this one because you would use your Earthen Guard more than your Water's Field. And I personally use the healing card, so I think this probably feels a little bit better or would be used a little bit more than the one above, like Caretaker. Earthen Guard, current, enter a defensive state, while in the state reduce damage taken by your deployables and you by 30%. And increase healing received by 30%. This effects last 5 seconds. Okay, they just increased the time a little bit. I guess this one is okay. I think they could have just increased the healing or damage reduction to be more effective, but I think they kind of afraid to buffer too much, so I guess that's fine. And Impulse, reduce the cooldown. Yeah, okay. Okay, I feel like they want to buff Nara, wanted to make her a little bit stronger again after her nerfs, but they didn't really know how to buff her effectively, so they just try to buff some of her cards and abilities. Okay, Term, Necromantic Might, reduce the damage required to generate a Calamity Blast charge by 120, and now it is 100. So a nerf? Okay, I don't understand this one. I'm not sure why they would buff it. Or maybe I'm just dumb and misunderstand the card. It's a nerf. So I misunderstood the card, right? 1200 minus 120 times 5 is 600. And now 1200 minus 100 times 5 is 700. Oh, okay. Now I understand. It reduces the damage by 120. Okay, now I understand. Yeah, I guess that's okay. That's good, because he's still pretty strong, or he was really strong. Torvald, protection, current. Project a shield onto an ally for a short duration that prevents up to 500 damage, and now increase shield value from 500 to 650. Okay, I guess that's interesting. I don't know if it's so strong or if it's needed, but well, needed maybe, because he kind of felt kind of weak, I would say. So I guess that's fine to buff him slightly. They increased the cooldown of your protection from 6 to 9 seconds. I feel like this is massive nerf. Increase cooldown by 3 seconds. Sounds kinda massive, even though they buffed the shield. Sounds kinda meh to me. I don't like the change. I rather would have had like reduced cooldown and reduced shield, because then you could spam your shield more often, get more cooldown reduction, like the cooldown reduction card when getting a limb, and could keep spamming shields on your flank. Would be a better buff to me than increasing the HP but also increasing the cooldown, because then it's, I don't know, you could only use your shield every 9 seconds, sounds kinda bad. They wanted to make him more powerful outside of being bubble bot. I think it's fine. Yeah, okay, you're probably right. They didn't want him to be bubble bot, as you said. But I don't know. I feel like they should buff. Okay, I should read the other things, but then they would need to buff other abilities as well. Nullify current focus your gauntlet, silencing your target and dealing 800 damage over 2 seconds. And they increase the range, reduce the cooldown. I guess that's okay, because it also silences, and the silence is pretty strong. So, kinda good. And they also reduce the cooldown of his recharge. So I guess that's his movement ability, so to say. So he's a little bit more self-sustaining. Only if it's, I mean, even if it's only 2 seconds, it's probably still a good buff. Oh, and they buffed his damage. Okay, I guess that's nice. I never underestimated the damage, so I guess it's kind of nice that they also increased the damage a little bit more. And lastly, Hyper Beam. Current unleash the latent power of your gauntlet to channel a massive wave of energy that deals 55 damage every 0.1 second and pushes enemies back. Is now, or has now, increased damage from 55 to 60. Okay, I don't know if it's really recognizable, the extra damage, but I guess it's okay. Primal Vision. Pulse 5 times briefly, revealing nearby enemies to allies. And now reduce the interval between pulses by 10%. Duration is reduced by 10%. And duration enemies are revealed is also reduced by 15%. I guess that's fine. It was really strong. Every reveal in the game is really strong because you can't counter it. So giving a reveal to a tank as an ability was already pretty strong. I remember that I felt like this is kinda insane to give it to a tank as a normal ability, not even ult, like Cassie. Was kinda strong. Like, look at Tyra, her mark is really strong, not only because of her increased damage, but also because of the reveal. Imani, current channel an Inferno Cannon that deals 110 damage every 0.09 seconds over 3 seconds in a 120 unit piercing column of fire. Basically, they reduce the damage. I really like this one because I hate playing against Imani Cannon, or Imani Inferno Cannon, that way. It was really strong. Kinda OP in my opinion. So I really like that they nerfed the damage. Tiberius, Vicious Assault. Now grants an additional charge of Crouching Tigeron and reduce damage on landing from 900 to 600. Yeah, this legendary is just terrible. I mean, it's similar to Bouncer's Back, but worse because you can't control your movement ability. So I don't know, it feels really bad because you can't control where you want to land. Enemies you would dive would just, I don't know, run away. So it's kind of hard to actually land or hit it. And now decreasing the damage, even if you have 2 charges, doesn't make it better. It's still terrible. It just makes it even worse in my opinion. Tyra. In the fray, current decrease your damage taken by 4% for 3 seconds after using Nade Launcher. No longer stacks, will now refresh and increase scaling from 4 to 5. I really liked this one. It was really broken that you could stack up the damage reduction even though you would have diminishing returns, but it still was too strong. So it's kinda nice that they nerf it and also buff it in some way. You have again more damage reduction, but it's, I don't know, it's only that 25%, so it doesn't stack up, and this is the important point. It doesn't stack up, because that was really broken about Merciful Tara. Sarah's Rend Soul, increased damage per detonation from 60 to 80, increased cooldown from 5 to 6 seconds. Okay, so they just buffed Ceres with no reason. I guess she was already pretty strong. I don't know. I don't understand. Even if they reduce the cooldown, it's still a buff in my opinion. And Fade to Black. Reduce the cooldown of Shadow Travel by 0.8 seconds after activating Resource Store. Can now only happen once every 5 seconds, so initial cooldown. I guess that's fine, because it was really strong. Or her Shadow Travel is really annoying, so it's okay to add an initial cooldown on reset, so to say. Var to Ambush. Decrease the amount of time before teleporting from 0.4 seconds to 0.3 seconds. So they buffed him. I guess that's a buff, because you can teleport a little bit quicker. I thought he would be really strong, so I don't really understand why they buffed him. But I don't know, it's a slight buff, so I don't even know if you would recognize it. Vara. Obliteration. Reduce the logout time after using Obliteration from 0.8 seconds to 0.5 seconds. That's also a buff. I don't know. Why did they buff Vara? Vara is kinda annoying to play against, and I don't know, the lockout time, god I can't talk, is the only thing which made it easier for you to deal damage to her, so to say. So I don't know why they buffed it. Having us Wrath, so her ultimate reduced the movement speed bonus while this ability is active from 80 to 60%, and increase the ultimate energy cost of using the ability from 30 to 50%. Okay, this is actually nice. This is a nerf, and this is pretty good, because her ultimate was, or is, really annoying. It's just I messed up and press E to get out. So I guess this is pretty good. In my opinion, they also should nerf it a little bit more. Like, not the movement speed or ultimate cost, they should nerf the damage reduction or damage immunity. I think she's also damage immune for at least 1 second or 2 seconds. And she also, I don't know, avoids the enemy she's ulting. When she does the slicing animation, the enemy can't get healed, which is also pretty strong. Otherwise, you could just heal your ally while Vara is playing the animation and could save them, but because she just, I don't know, avoids you from healing them, is one thing why it's so fucking broken, in my opinion. And bug fixes? Yeah, bug fixes is not really interesting. So I guess this patch was really long. Just let's go to the top of it, to Reagan. I guess most changes are fine, but there are also a lot of other changes I don't really understand, or which weren't really needed, or where I feel like they didn't know how to buff or nerf a certain champion. But those are definitely things I have to try out, or have to see how it feels for me. You probably know already how strong or weak it feels, but in my opinion, most of the things in the patch are fine. So that's it for Genlock. Let's get into Trickshot update.